Next is from John Kamape, and the subject is Saraya versus Tony Khan. Recently, Saraya is doing some press interviews where she's taking a few shots at Tony Khan's booking. She said she didn't want to take shots at WWE during her debut promo, but was basically forced into doing it, and that she knew it would backfire and make her look bad. Said that she didn't want to come in as a face, but the people making the decisions wouldn't listen to me, and I knew it wouldn't work out. And that her being in a faction storyline is fun, but hardly groundbreaking. Now, I'll admit to being a huge market, I 9 out of 10 times fall for work shoes, but do you think these are real complaints or are we being worked? As weird as it sounds, could it's a Raya versus Tony Khan angle be in the works, or could it just be that she thinks the creative sucks? Is Billy still crying while K100 keeps growing? Love to see it. Um, well, first of all, Saraya is from a second generation family. I doubt that she's working this. She's definitely speaking her mind because that's one thing that she did when she was in WWE. She spoke her mind, and we got in trouble sometimes. But what do you think about this, Conan? Is she working?
What was the quote? What was the quote?
Um,
Well, here's I'm reading it right now. With being a heel, I wanted to do it straight out of the gate, but Tony and everyone were saying you can't because you're now coming back from a career-ending injury. You're finally back in the ring again, so people are going to cheer you. Let me tell you as well, AEW fans love homegrown talents. They do not take too kindly to some people coming in. People are harsh. People are really harsh. So I'm just like, why don't I make it a thing? I don't care. I would love to be heel. I love being heel. I feel like I thrive when I'm in a heel role. You can see on social media, I love to talk, and I can get a little too carried away. So their perception was you're going to get cheered because you're returning, and she kind of
Well,
felt she'd be like an
she's
outsider.
100% right, and this does not sound like a work at all. And even though she just came off of a career-ending injury, she could have still come back at a heat. She could have done some heelish to get heat, and nobody would have given a about her operation.
Yeah.
next is from our boy Adam Demoy, our Tony Schiavone friend who
Yeah,
gets
is
gets
that the
us
guy
gets
that said that
yeah.
Tony's keeping the Pizza Hut
Yes, yeah,
points? Yeah.
yeah. Next, the subject's taking out the Garbagiano. On the eve of Johnny Garbagiano's 1 year rehire date, I asked what he has added to WWE. The guy gets zero reaction from the crowd, and his charisma is that of a dork order AEW flunky. Disco, do you think this Triple H rehired bum will join the Vince McMahon prestigious list of wrestlers multiple times fired by the WWE? The guy's only claim to fame, to my knowledge, is marrying Diva Candice LeRae, and well, she's not that great either. Maybe they can both head up to AEW Sunset together after the announced WWE layoffs start July 1st. P.S. Disco, could you talk about that amazing gift I sent you? The framed picture you have hanging in your Sapphire's office. Yeah, he sent me a pretty good piece of art, and I got it
Right.
hanging in my room. So,
Right.
but yeah, Johnny Gargano, bro, he just fills time on that show. They're not doing. There's a lot of guys that they're not currently doing stuff with, but they pop up on the show every now and then. So,
Well, it
Yeah.
says
Well, here's
here.
the thing. What?
It
What?
says here that Ciampa, who's been out 8 months, is about to come back, and that likely he'll reunite with Gargano on TV. So they'll be doing something
Well,
with him then.
the thing is that Chiampa and Gargano probably got the reputations, and deservedly so, of being good workers and one take guys and guys that you want to have around and utility guys. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that people aren't behind you. And yeah, he got a couple pops when he came by, but people weren't into him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Looks like they're repackaging him to hook him up with his wife again, because you know that team they had in NXT with Dexter Loomis and I think Indy
Yeah.
Hartwell. Looks
Mhm.
like they're going to try to reunite that.
next is from uh, Tad J. Subject is Logan Paul's next move. Hey, K100 crew, this is Tad from H Town. Show continues to be incredible weekly. Thanks for all the great content. My question today is regarding Logan Paul. I dive a little too deep into the dirt sheet sometimes. I have no idea why I do because the credibility is an all-time low across the board. But lately, I've been seeing quite a bit of speculation about Logan Paul's return. I read that he's targeted to be the Money Bank ladder match and that he may win and go to SummerSlam to challenge Roman for a second time. If this scenario doesn't happen regardless, you see a future in WWE where Logan Paul could potentially win the big one. If it was for pure shock value alone, I think people would freak out. Just want to hear all your takes on this. I think that Logan Paul would be a great addition to Money in the Bank. I don't know if he should win, but he is definitely, that's right. He's very acrobatic and athletic, and that match is like right up his alley for like the stuff that he could do. You know, what do you think, Conan?
Sorry. Well, I think that, bro, the guys had what, 3 matches?
Four, I think.
Four. They've all been great.
Right?
Imagine this guy with a year under his belt. I could see him one day carrying the belt because you won't look at him as a YouTube star anymore. He's a wrestler that was a YouTube star or is a YouTube star. You know what I'm saying? Because he's he can talk. He's got charisma. He's smart. He does creative. He does crazy. He can wrestle. Like for a guy with only 4 matches, it's incredible.
Yeah. Next is from Josh Dunn. Subject: whose idea was it to put Mysterio's mask? God, these questions with the masks. Whose idea was it to put Mysterio's mask back on? Hey, before Rey Mysterio debuted in the WWE, he was still wrestling without his mask in the Indies and internationally. Whose idea was it to put the mask back on? That was almost unheard of back then. Do you feel like any of the other unmasked luchador wrestlers could have had a better career if they did the same thing 20 years ago? Thanks for your time. That's Josh.
The idea to put the mask back on was the genius himself, Vince McMahon.
Right.
And he was right. And they shouldn't have taken it off of him in the first place. But I don't know if you know luchadors, but I'll give you one example. Fishman, he should have put his mask back on. But really, most of the guys that have lost their mask, the older guys, they should have put them back on, because when you look old, you don't look that believable. You know what I'm saying? When you have a mask on, you're kind of eternally youthful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Next is from Lewis Rice, new guy. Subject is Orange Cassidy.
Right.
Hello. How can AW grow their audience with Orange Cassidy on TV every week? Hypothetically, I convince a non-wrestling fan to watch Dynamite for 1 week. The first match features Orange Cassidy wrestling with his hands in his pockets. No average guy in the street would ever tune in again after seeing that. They'd be embarrassed to admit they watched this stuff, unlike the Attitude Era was cool to like Stone Cold in the NWO. Disco, I've heard you call Cassidy a good worker. I'd argue he's a crappy worker because he's a detriment to growing the audience, which is the most important thing. What positives does Cassidy bring to the table other than being over with the dorks inside the wrestling bubble? And that's from Lewis Rice. Well, he's over with the dorks inside the wrestling bubble. And honestly, it's like not a lot of people are over today. And he's over for that audience, which is, I'm not going to call that a negative quality, like it's a detriment to the thing, but like, bro, anybody's
not
over,
just that. The guy said he was a bad worker because he's a detriment to growing the audience. That's not the definition of a good worker, bro.
Right.
So that's very, it's very different. You can't compare this to the Attitude Era, because the Attitude Era was how long ago, Joe?
25 years ish.
25 years ago, and this is a different type of wrestling, and that fan base likes him. That's what matters, not that you don't.
And I think if you look at it, I think
he's a good worker.
You'll see kids dress like him. Now, were they fans of his before AEW, or did he draw them in AEW? I don't know, but he's over.
Right. That's what matters. And he can go.
Next one is from
Michael
Kahute.
Yeah.
Hey, you ready? Okay, cool. You get the link. Just come on whenever you want. Bye. Just come on whenever you're ready. You get the link. Okay, bye.
And I'd like to say before Mark comes on, and Conan wants to know if I have the predictions ready, that you guys did this episode before the playoffs matchups were set. So there's not really any predictions, but there's a wide-ranging predictions made. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right, next is from Michael Kahutek, and the subject is booking inter-promotional matches. Hey, guys, Conan and Disco, you both got experience working booking, so I was wondering if you could shed light on the process of booking matches that involve wrestlers from different promotions. I'm sure it depends on many variables, such as whether two wrestlers are heel baby faces, but in general, your experience, how difficult is it to arrive at an ending for a match you're dealing with a New Japan AEW show or maybe an AAA AEW show? Would you consider what makes the most money is the most important thing in this scenario? Is it a give and take with the other promoter? Is it a difficult process to be a part of? No, it's not. Maybe Conan is difficult today, but if there's a language barrier, you just had somebody that could speak both languages help you out. You go over the match and book the finish. There's no different than anything else.
There is a different thing, because sometimes they'll say something like, we want you to protect this guy, or we're about to make this guy the champion, so don't beat him, or this guy is the champion and he can't be beat. So they'll tell you who are the guys that are like protected, and you tell them who are your guys that are protected, and then after that you do what's best for business. Then you got to figure out between the guys that are being protected, if they're facing each other, you know, because sometimes some guys are very selfish and they don't want to do a job, and sometimes some guys, I'm a big star but I don't mind losing, you know, so it just depends, you know.
I remember
This
when
in my
I had to
experience.
book. I had to book 2 backyard wrestling companies against each other, and I agree with everything you said.
Well, let me go. This
Right.
one's interesting. It's from Dave Johnson. The subject is Young Bucks seen Russo nude. Hi, Disco and K-Dog. The Young Bucks wrote in their book that Terry Taylor introduced him to Russo while he was nude getting a massage. Russo said this did not happen. Do any of you remember Russo getting nude massages in TNA? Thanks, and that's from David J. First of all, I think the Bucks
I do remember Juventud giving him a nude massage.
No, that's what I was going to
No.
say. The Bucks got this wrong. They conflated a story where Juventud was giving Conan a massage and Conan was naked, and they
Oh.
mistook that for Russo and a massage therapist. But
Well,
that's
how else are you supposed to get a massage?
they're conflating two stories and they got one
Well,
wrong.
you can't turn down a free
All right.
I don't. What are you talking? I mean, who would?
Yeah.